Hey, good evening, everyone. I am Kevin Lyons. I am the CEO and Chief Solutions Officer of Lyons Den Solutions. And I just want to welcome you to the Lyons Den Solutions YouTube channel. It's a brand new, fresh channel, and we started it with some challenges from some friends of mine about Vlogmas. So Lyons Den Solutions, we're an innovative solutions provider for a lot of amazing people. We have some great clients. One of our favorite clients is Rheumatology Nurses Society, which I serve as executive director of the association. It's a nonprofit specialty association. So I wanted to just come on tonight and first off share a couple of real things. Now, first off, I'm going to update a couple of social media posts with you. But if you are watching, this is a brand new channel. So hey, reality is there's a good chance that you're not watching, right? Because I'm streaming this live, but we're going to keep the recording on afterwards. But if you are watching, shoot me a comment, and I would love to hear where you're watching from. And I'm just updating a couple of our friends. So I want to give a shout out to the Let's Get Live VIP group. There's a lot of amazing people who are encouraging other content creators and streamers to get out there and to produce video content for the month of December. I'm intending on going all the way through the month of December, sharing with you a lot of pieces of information about not only Lyons Den Solutions and what we do, but how we do and how we provide the solutions that we do. One of the great tools that we provide solutions through is a piece of software that is a Mac-only software called Ecam Live. And I just have to tell you, so we converted a lot of live in-person events to virtual events this year. Lyons Den Solutions, we've been doing events for a very long time, large conferences. I mean, I've done, helped develop and design conferences, with tens of thousands of people. Our niche right now over the past 8 years is medical conferences surrounding nursing, surrounding continuing education and accreditation and so forth. But COVID hit, right? So we had to pivot, we had to change, and we had to change the way we do. And so tonight, I'm going to, here in a moment, I'm going to share with you something else, but here in a moment, I'm going to kind of give you a look on how are some of the ways that we're using Ecamm to deliver these virtual conferences while preserving engagement, preserving audience participation, and really driving the outcomes, the educational outcomes that our clients and their supporters are looking for. So we're going to talk about that tonight. I'm going to get a little techie and a little geeky with you and kind of showing you some of the walkthroughs and the ways that we do it. But before that, I just have something real that I want to share with you. So we have, starting tomorrow and Friday, we are doing 10 webinars. So our client, Rheumatology Nurses Society, or I call them their acronym RNS, we actually had this program set up for workforce development of getting new nurses and advanced practice providers into rheumatology. Now, at Lyons Den, we don't always focus on rheumatology, but we do a lot of work in that space. So we had these dinner programs that we were doing around the country where we were having anywhere from 10, 20, 30, 50 people, or 10, 20, 30, 50 nurses or nurse practitioners or students join us at a dinner program where we had a nurse or an advanced practice provider share with them an accredited education about the opportunities inside of rheumatology. It was so successful in 2019 that we were able to secure grant funding for 2020 to continue that program to recruit as many nurses and advanced practice providers into rheumatology as possible, because there's a great shortage of rheumatologists, which we call Rheumageddon. That's a whole nother topic. I won't bother our channel here with that. However, 2020 hit. We had 20 dinner programs that we had to produce. Now, some of the great things about virtual conferences and virtual events is we can now broadcast out of our home office studio to the world and have these huge audiences, and we can have audiences and reach people that we've never reached before, which is fantastic. However, it leaves out something special. There's something special about the local network, the local peers, the local koinonia, the local community that gathers around dinner tables and gathers into small conferences and events to where you network and you develop relationships. So we had to pivot and come up with a concept and an idea of how to do that. And so what we did is we said, okay, we're not going to do Zoom. Zoom is great. It has its place. I think we all have a little bit of Zoom fatigue, but we want wanted to do something with style. We wanted a platform that allowed us to do something unique and special. And so we coupled Ecamm Live with a whole bunch of other pieces of software and some custom code and stuff in the recipe to create an engagement platform for people to participate locally or globally in live events, to where they can communicate with each other, they can share emojis with each other, share pictures, and engage and so forth. So the other unique component is we decided to market these 20 dinner programs, no longer dinner programs because of social distancing. We can't go and fly and do this, but we marketed them as regional programs. So we did hyper-focused Facebook advertising focused on geographic areas like Baton Rouge, Louisiana, or Corpus Christi, Texas, and so forth, and developed these small niched events. So tomorrow, today's Wednesday, December 2nd, tomorrow, December 3rd at 9 a.m., we are doing 5 webinars throughout the day at different time zones in 5 different markets for these small micro communities for there. So here's the reality piece before I go into some of the behind the scenes and kind of show you how we do these things, or a piece of how we do it. I'm big on redundancies. In my studio here, which I'll probably share a little bit more about later, this is a 12 by 12 bedroom in the upstairs part of my home. We have always been a virtual company. We have always have been decentralized. We have 13 employees in 8 different states, and we've always thrived in that virtual environment and thrived in home offices and some of the culture around Lyons Den that hopefully I'll have some of my team members come on and share a little bit in the coming days and weeks about the culture of virtual life and work-life balance. But what's amazing is in this 12 by 12 room, I have an iMac Pro hooked up to a camera. I have a second iMac here. I have a MacBook Pro. I have multiple screens around. I have a Rodecaster Pro for audio and the Ecamm Mini for video switching, the Stream Deck. I mean, there's a lot of technology that's easy to produce for one person for conferences, events, and so forth. However, it's all dependent on one very important thing, and that is the internet. So for redundancy for internet, I actually have 4 layers of redundancy. First is I have a business gigabit connection coming into our home, and this by Spectrum. So I have a gigabit connection there. I have a residential connection, so that's my second connection that I have coming into the home. I also have a iPhone 12, which is 5G, which if for some reason the internet fails, I can switch to a hotspot and actually still stream. I can stream with about 5 gig up, usually, or 5 meg up, usually does a minimal amount of streaming. But then the next layer is I also have a PepWave Max Transit Duo dual modem router. Sounds real fancy, but basically it takes 2 cell phone SIM cards and put in there, and it turns into a router. It bonds them together to give you a high-speed internet. I also use that technology to bond together all of my devices to give us failover, so when we're streaming, we have the best quality internet possible. Well, yesterday I started having some problems with all of my internet. And now I'm an IT guy, I'm a former developer, I've run network centers, I've been a CTO, Chief Technology Officer, Vice President of IT, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like really starting to get concerned because I'm like, okay, we have 2 days of 10 markets of webinars that we're about to do. And I had to fall back on the foundations of things that I put in place because our main gigabit line, our business class line that had the best SLA, that had the most reliability and everything else, just like freaked out on us. And today I spent 4 hours with technicians here inside and outside my home, which I'm not really thrilled about. I mean, with everything with COVID, but, trying to troubleshoot and find the solutions. And I found myself in need of solutions that I couldn't provide. And I had to rely upon foundations in my life. And my wife, my beautiful wife of 28 years, Vicky, she re-encouraged me and said, remember, whatever's on the surface, is fleeting, but, really, you have to really find your foundation. And our foundation really, for Lyons Den, a lot of it's our faith. A lot of it's our faith in God, our faith in His ability of working through us, our faith in developing our skills and our mindsets. But I had to kind of trust in other people. And I had to trust these technicians to come out. I had to trust our service provider to provide the technicians to come out. And I just want to challenge you to not be afraid to lower down that pride barrier and trust in people, and trust in process, trust in foundation, trust in all the work that you did up until today to lay the foundation to build your business, build your brand, build your association, your community, whatever it is. So let's get into some of the geeky stuff. I'm not going to be on long tonight because we have 2 amazing days. Internet's back on. We're back streaming. We have 2 amazing days of webinars that we're about to jump into. So without further ado, I'm going to give you a kind of a behind the scenes look at how we use Ecamm Live. So this here, what I just did is I pulled in an NDI source, network display interface, I believe it is, NDI source from my iMac into my MacBook Pro. So I'm going to be looking here as I control this computer. I'm currently displaying a website. This is our client's website that we developed for them, and we have our dinner program, the webinar series called Room for You. We have a lot of different dates and locations. Tomorrow you can see we're hitting up Baton Rouge, Corpus Christi, Nashville, Santa Fe, Salt Lake City, all virtually. And the way that we're doing this, though, is using Ecamm Live in a combination of live and pre-recorded content. And so the way this is going to work is everyone, they register for free. They land on our WordPress site, which is controlled by Memberium of giving access. The Memberium component is controlled by Infusionsoft, which is our contact relationship manager, our CRM in the backend, that has all of our contact information. So when someone registers for this free webinar, they register on a landing page that's driven by Thrivecart, which then puts them into Infusionsoft, which gives them access in Memberium to our WordPress site where we host the actual event. And it's complicated, but it's easy once you kind of get that flow of it. And there's a lot of whys on why we do that we can get into later. So, or maybe a different video. So basically they come in, they sign up, and they jump into our website. Some of the things behind the scenes that we do is we have pre-recorded 4 videos. So let me kind of go to our run of show. That's our script. All right, here's kind of our run of show. So the way that we're starting out the day for the attendee is they register, they get online, they go to the website. At 8:45, or forgive the time zones here, but let's just do it in Eastern. At 9:45, we actually have faculty. So it's going to be myself as a moderator, and I have a co-moderator who is a nurse or nurse practitioner, will be joining me on a Skype call. And the reason why we use Skype, now Ecamm Live has a fantastic interview process or interview module to where you can call straight into Ecamm Live. And Ecamm Live is a streaming and coding video production platform, if you will. I'll show you some of the behind the scenes with it here in just a second. So we use Skype though, because Skype gives the NDI outputs to where I could have 3, 4, 5 callers come into Skype with their cameras and possibly screen share, and each one of those shows up as a different camera source that I can pull into Ecamm Live to have different cameras to cut to. Unlike Zoom, which is not an NDI compatible platform, and Zoom would just give you a screen of all the different, Brady Bunch type of images on there. So we have the faculty and the moderator join us on Skype ahead of time before we go live. I have a countdown and a welcome slide that's up on screen. So the attendees are on a web page. They have a video that's live streaming in front of them. They also have our engagement platform that we built next to it. And they're seeing the countdown timer with some background music going on while I'm backstage on Skype, not on camera, working with my moderator to get them ready to go live. Then at 9:59, we go live. I introduce the audience and I introduce the moderator. The moderator comes on and they actually tee up the first video. So we pre-recorded the medical education videos to preserve the quality of the education and the slides and everything else with it. but we don't try to pretend like the videos are live or live as a video or whatever, because that's so disingenuous. And the whole thing with live engagement and virtual engagement content and virtual conferences and virtual webinars is you're trying to still build trust. And to build trust, you have to be genuine. When you start saying, hey, this video is actually live, or you have a live moniker on top of a pre-recorded video, to me that is so disingenuous, and the audience is smarter than you think they are. So what we do is we tell them, hey, welcome to the broadcast. Welcome to the webinar. You're going to get an amazing day of education today. And we're going to tell you something. We are going to go live and be live with you just like we are right now, but our education is pre-recorded. But don't worry, you're not going to sit an hour and a half with one big video. It's broken up into 4 videos, and we're going to come back on at the end of this first video in about 10 or 15 minutes, and we have prizes and giveaways and different things that we're going to provide you with. And during that video, start asking questions in the chat. Actually, everyone right now, put into the chat where you're watching from. How did you hear about us? And introduce yourself. Let's have a conversation there while the video is playing, and we'll come and answer those questions live right after that video is done on the first segment. So we'll see you in 10 minutes. So we kind of role play it through like that so that the audience has this engagement trust factor thing going on. So basically, the whole thing is we're live, or we have a countdown, I have an introduction, I introduce the moderator, we tee up the video, we play the video. At the end of the video, we come back live and we're doing Q&A. We're picking up questions that were in the chat room. We're like feeding them back to the audience and doing this whole Q&A. I'm keeping the balloons in the air in the conversation. So what I mean by keeping the balloons in the air, is if the moderator, a lot of times the nurses or healthcare professionals, they're not presenters in the sense of a motivational speaker or something like that. They deliver amazing education, but they're having to learn how to engage with the audience. So I keep the balloons in the air in the conversation of saying, well, Carolyn, isn't that amazing? That was a great question. Carolyn, what do you think about this aspect of your product or your presentation? Or what do you think about this aspect of that video? And you always kind of keep that engagement going. So anyway, so it's basically, we go live, we go to a video. During the video, I'm having back channel conversations with the moderator and helping them understand what the audience is doing, because I have a view into the audience, like if they're liking it, giving thumbs up or emojis, question marks, all this other stuff. And we're getting ready to go back live. So live, video, live, video, live, back to video, live. And during the live sessions, our platform has the ability of doing raffle giveaways. So we're giving away like $25 Amazon gift cards and all these other things because we want people to not take their eyeballs off the screen. They don't want to miss what's coming up next. You always have to keep things changing up with them. If they think that they're sitting there for a 90-minute didactic, talking head behind the slide deck type of presentation, they're going to yawn off. But if you're changing things up and giving them 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, and they don't know what's going to happen when you come back live, but they know that they just want a gift card and so forth, we're giving away like an Apple Watch, we're giving away all types of different things, incentivizing them to stay tuned in. But we are also, because we're an accredited education or accredited provider of education, we also do pre-test and post-test, and we actually pull all of that information together to be able to define and improve the outcomes and the effectiveness of the education that we deliver in these programs. Now, that's very tied into the medical community, especially in the nursing community, but I think those principles could also be applied to many other areas of business or ministry and so forth. We should be outcomes driven in anything we do, to where we are able to not only articulate back to our supporters or our audience the value that we're giving and they're receiving, but also we're able to measure that to continually do quality improvement. So that's a whole nother video set by itself. So anyways, this is kind of what our run of show looks like for tomorrow. And we're doing it over and over. You can see we have Baton Rouge and we have Corpus Christi. And And it's really, Ecamm allows this to happen. Of course, we also have a script. And you can see here the intro for the Lyons Den Solutions LDS host. And we just kind of, we do a lot of planning for our client conferences and our client webinars so that we can continue to get the funding, we can continue to get the outcomes that we need for them. So we're super happy. You can kind of see here, it's a complimentary event, it's accredited education, we've got prizes and giveaways. We, of course, that's some of our faculty going on. We're giving away an Apple Watch and so forth. And this is all free and they get contact hours for it. All right, so now I'm going to take you a little bit further behind the scenes and just kind of give you a glimpse at Ecamm. Now to do this, I'm going to go into what's called live demo mode on Ecamm on my second iMac. The only way I'm able to really pull that in to show it to you in a little bit better quality is I'm going to come here. So now you're seeing my picture full in frame, and this is coming out of the Ecamm Mini Pro. So the Ecamm Mini Pro is basically a 4-camera HDMI switcher that I can switch in between 4 different HDMI inputs. Now when we were here looking at this source here, that screen share is coming up off my iMac using the NDI camera source. However, when you go into live demo mode on Ecamm Live, which all that does is it shows, instead of you showing an output of a video source, it shows the entire screen. It cannot output that through an NDI camera source. So I need to bring that into my second installation of Ecamm as a HDMI source. So I'm using the Ecamm Mini Pro to bring it in as a second HDMI source. So I'm going to go full screen me, and now I'm going to dissolve over to the HDMI source. So you don't see me anymore, but I'm still here and I'm looking at my sound meters and make sure that you're still hearing me through my Rode NT5 that's plugged into my Rodecaster Pro. So over here, and you should be able to see my screen or see my mouse. So I have Ecamm Live running. Now I'm running this on an iMac 27-inch monitor, so it might be a little small coming up on the 1080p that you're seeing coming through YouTube. But you can see here, I have this here as my preview window, which is currently hooked up to the screen share that's right here. This is what I was controlling here on the right-hand side. This is Chrome with 3 tabs open. But what I usually start off with is, here we go, I have my countdown timer. So when we start off on that run of show that's over here, you can see here I have my 5-minute countdown timer. So this is what's a great thing about one of the many great things about Ecamm is I have a background image. This is a overlay, they call it. I have a timer feature, which if I click on this, you can see there's a lot of functionality. You can change fonts, you can change how much time you want to have, and then most importantly, 2 things: to auto start it when I go to the scene, but also to go to the next scene when it's finished. So once I go to this scene and I'm live, and I'll go into how we do our live stream a little bit later, is this countdown timer will just start clicking down. I don't have to do anything except keep an eye on it. I also have this ticker going across, thank you for joining us. We'll begin very soon. So the idea is this is kind of the, everyone's coming into the room, if you will, waiting for the production or waiting for the broadcast to begin. These are scenes inside Ecamm. This is a folder that contains all of my scenes that I'm going to use for each of the 5 webinars that we're doing tomorrow and Thursday. One of the great things about Ecamm is I can put all of these in a folder and drag them onto a folder on my computer, on my Mac or my desktop, and then I can share them across other computers. So I have redundancy. I can run this program off of many different computers. So at the end of that timer, we then go to it's time to go live, click play to begin, which is a 1-minute timer. The reason why we do that is on our platform, sometimes, depending on what platform or what software you're watching, it actually, you have to click the play button to get the live stream to happen. We go from Ecamm to Restream. We use Restream to go to Vimeo. We use Vimeo to go to our event platform and play the video there. And the reason why we use Restream is it gives us an opportunity. If for some reason Vimeo or our platform has a technical issue, we can take that same stream and shoot it to a private Facebook group, a LinkedIn group, another YouTube channel, a private YouTube channel, all on the fly. It's just like so easy to do. So coming back over to here, you can see we're at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're going to go to the next scene. Now this scene, it's not showing up for you because I'm really just using this as a demo. But here, let me actually show you what it's kind of going to look like. So this actually goes to a scene with a single camera source. In this case, it's going to be a Skype caller. So this person will actually fill this place, and this is a camera overlay that's recently released by Ecamm Live. So I can actually take this as an overlay. I can put a ton of different cameras on one page, and you can see I can move them all around. I can put other graphics in. This is another overlay. It's a logo that I just kind of put in as a bug. Even this background piece is another overlay. So this is all layered over here in the overlay section. So you can see this is Ecamm. This is how simple it is. Not to mention from here, I can go to Restream, I can go to Facebook, Periscope, Twitch, YouTube, all the other things. So at the end of this scene, I'm going to bring in my guest. Now again, this is not showing up right because I have this on a different computer that I'm not really going to be using tomorrow. I'm just using it for tonight to show you guys. So you can see here, I go to another scene that has 2 guests in it. So I go from the single guest to 2 guests. And we start walking through the scenes, and I always line my scenes up with my run of show. Then you can see we'll go to our first video. Now this is not the actual video that we're using tomorrow, but you'll kind of get an idea. We can go to a video, and then we basically start going back to the different scenes. This is an amazing thing with Ecamm because you can go through all of these different sets and sources, and this is me preparing it ahead of time, but I can tell you, I have done so many conferences and so many webinars and so many town halls and so many productions. Half the time, I don't even set up all my scenes in a row. I do it ad hoc because Ecamm is so easy to just drag and drop and move things in and everything else. I mean, I can grab graphics and throw it on the screen in real time. Like if there's a conversation I want to show a demonstration of something, I can just open up a screen share and pop it in there. So anyways, wow, that rhymed kind of like a bad infomercial. Sorry about that. So I just wanted to give you kind of a look at how Ecamm's set up. Now here's something else that a lot of people kind of ask me about. Why do we use Skype when we can use Ecamm in interview mode? Now Ecamm is rapidly developing their platform, and I really believe that they'll get to the point where I won't want to use Skype for anything. But here's what we do is in Skype, especially when we're doing multi-day conferences where we have sometimes 20 speakers over the course of 3 or 4 days, we actually preset Skype channels for each of the green rooms, if you will, for each of the speakers. So as they go through their day, they kind of join us in their green room ahead of time. I have one of my team members meet them there, and they're having conversations like, hey, could you adjust your ring light a little bit? And, can you take a look at your background? I think you're a little dark. We can't hear you on your audio. And so they're spending that 5 or 10 minutes of time with the presenter, getting them all set up, getting their PowerPoint or their keynote shared on their screen, so that when I'm ready to bring them into the conference or whatever, I actually then join that call, and then I bring them up live into the conference. So anyways, hopefully I'm just trying to pique your interest in what you can do. And this might look really complicated to you. It's really not. It really is very intuitive, but a lot of it has to really do with just having the right planning before you jump into some of these events. So, oh, there's my lower third, and there's me. All right. Anyways, hopefully this is intriguing to you. I would love to hear some questions back from you on how we do streaming, some of the philosophies around streaming. But really, streaming is not everything we do. We feel that streaming is a necessary tool that organizations and businesses and brands and personalities can use. And I think there's so many terrible things that came out of COVID and 2020 and the pandemic. But on the flip side of that, there are so many amazing, innovative things that have been launched in 2020 in evolutions and demands on platforms like Zoom and Skype and Ecamm and vMix on the PC and StreamYard and all these platforms. They had to really step up to the challenge of how can we give the organizations, the churches, the brands, the personalities, the tools that they need to survive, to continue to connect with each other and to connect with their audiences. And I think there's been such an evolution of that. I think one bell that cannot be unrung is we thrived in live in-person conferences. We love them. There's nothing like, standing behind the sound booth or behind the mic or watching the LED panels go up and the audience filling the room and counting heads and all of that. We dearly miss that. We also, though, have found great success in the virtual space when you're staying true and genuine for your audience. I believe the bell that cannot be unrung is once COVID is part of our history instead of part of our present, that I don't believe that it would be wise to have a live event without a virtual component. I believe that we're going to see larger audiences, more diverse audience profiles. I think that we're going to see even better innovation as the collaboration comes together from people who maybe could not afford or did not have time or could not get off work or whatever to join a live event, to still have their voice be heard and their presence be a part of the content of the live events. Virtual's here. And really, I think it's what do we do with it? Yes, I'm an Ecam fanboy. But I'm also a Delta fanboy and a Marriott fanboy. These are all platforms and brands that really it's what you do with it, what you make of it. And Ecam's not the only solution. vMix is phenomenal. OBS, which is a great open source, video streaming platform. My amazing daughter, she's a gamer and she streams on Twitch and she does amazing things with OBS. I'm just like, wow, that's so awesome. But it's what you do with it. It's not, and I think that the platforms and the technologies are going to start becoming more and more transparent and intuitive and logical, just like the iPhone did, with the cell phone industry. And it's really, at the end of the day, it's what are you going to do with it? How are you going to take your mission, your vision, your brand, your entity, your dream, your message, your value, and push it out there? I kind of hope we get to go down that journey together because that's kind of what we're doing too. So anyways, I'm Kevin Lyons, CEO, Chief Solutions Officer, Lyons Den Solutions. I hope you got some value from this. Ask me some questions. I'd love to answer anything that you have and give some thought to. And I appreciate you joining me. Take care.